स्वागत है ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਹੈਡਲਾਈਨ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕਰਵਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਅਜਿਹੇ ਸ਼ਖਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੋ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਨ ਪਰ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਕਰੀਬ ਹਨ। ਇੰਡੀਆ ਵਿਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੇहद ਪਸੰਦ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇੰਡੋ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਹਰਮਨ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਵੀ ਹਨ। जी हाँ, ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ओंटारियो ਦੀ प्रोग्रेसिव कंजरवेटिव पार्टी ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਪੈਟਰਿਕ ਬਰਾਊਨ ਦੀ। Hello Mr. Brown, welcome to our show.
It is an honor to be on your show.
Same for us. Starting up with your profile, you entered politics in 2000, which actually gave you a rich history in municipal politics, federal politics. But then what encouraged you to get engaged with the provincial politics?
Well, I like to joke that I'm a young veteran because I've been elected now for almost 16 years at all levels of government. It's given me a lot of insights into the fact that there's only one taxpayer and everyone needs to work together, and federal and provincial governments and municipal governments can't point fingers. They need to work together to get it done for families and for constituents. And you know why I went to provincial politics. I felt Ontario desperately needed change. You know, I was so disappointed that the PCs had blew the last election, that the party wasn't where I wanted it to be, and I wanted to build a modern, inclusive, pragmatic, progressive Conservative party that reflected this beautiful province. And you know, it was a big change. You know, going from federal politics, where I was in what was perceived to be a safe seat, to running for the leadership. But you always follow your heart. My heart told me that I had work to do here at Queen's Park.
As we see that Ontario general elections are coming up in 2018, can you summarize the Conservative Party's platform, election platform for us?
Well, we haven't released our platform. We're actually building it with the membership at forontario.ca, collecting all the best ideas. But to give you sort of a Cole's notes of where I want to go with the party is this. Let's not settle for an Ontario that isn't doing its best. Let's not settle for the fact that Ontario's receiving equalization payments, that we've lost 350,000 jobs, that our credit got downgraded. We can do better. And the best way to do better is, one, we have to run an honest, transparent government. They can't be mired in OPP investigations and scandal. We need a government that focuses on making life easier for you. Because right now in Ontario, life is unaffordable. It's hard. New taxes all the time, new cost all the time. What I want to do is I want to cut red tape. I want to invest in infrastructure to deal with the gridlock. I want to have affordable energy bills, and I want to fix our education system. I think if we do those four things, we get our economic fundamentals right, that Ontario can be a province that grows jobs that you want to be, where it's not a burden to be, and that it's a province of opportunity again.
Since you have joined politics in 2000, I think your primary focus was always on healthcare. But now, due to healthcare cuts by the Ontario Liberal government, we see that doctors are protesting outside Queen's Park. You have actually brought this issue so many times in the Assembly, but we see no solution to it.
Yeah, healthcare has always been a passion of mine. My grandmother was a volunteer at the Royal Victoria Hospital in Barrie for 45 years. I even have her volunteer appreciation certificate in my office as a reminder of how important healthcare is. And I worry about healthcare today in Ontario. You know, the Liberals have taken $815 million out of physician care for patients. They fired 1,400 nurses in the last year, and every hospital is at the brink. And I think a lot of Ontarians are fed up. They're disappointed that to pay for Kathleen Wynne's scandals, whether it's the gas plant, e-health, whether it's smart meters, whether it's the overspend on the Pan Am Games, that all these scandals of Kathleen Wynne mean that we have to cut health care. And that's not right, because I think there's one thing that we understand in Ontario is that we cherish our health services. So one thing that I'm offering to do differently is, right now the government has created these big healthcare bureaucracies, LHINs. And I said, we don't need LHINs. Let's take all that money and put it into patients, into doctors, into nurses. The government's running all these radio ads saying what a great job they're doing. Governments don't need to pat themselves on the back. All that money they're spending on radio ads should go into patients, into nurses, into doctors. And so, you know, I really worry that we're seeing healthcare diminished in Ontario, and we can't afford that, especially at a time when we have a growing population. We've got an aging population. We can't afford a healthcare system at the brink.
We talk about hydro rates, which is a big issue in Ontario right now. hydro rates are going up, and as per the reports, we see that in coming next 6 years, the rates is going to be like $190 per month. How would Progressive Conservative Party would address this issue to lower the cost?
A number of things with the energy sector. Boy, have the Liberals mismanaged this. The Auditor General says that they have overcharged us $37 billion because they signed all these contracts, wind contracts, renewable contracts for energy we don't need. We can't store it, so we have to give it away. This is almost unbelievable because it's so unacceptable, but it's true. In the last 2 years, we have sold energy at pennies on the dollar because we can't store it. We've given away $3.5 billion in hydro in the last 2 years to Michigan, to Quebec, to New York. I won't sign a single deal if we don't need it. You know, why are we creating a surplus, buying power from places like Samsung in South Korea, and then giving it to Michigan? It's not right. And you know what? It leads to ask the question, this is such a reckless and foolish policy. Who does it benefit? Well, you know what? 99% of the contracts, these wind contracts, also are major donors to the Liberal Party. So something smells there. The second thing is this privatization of Hydro One is reckless. All independent studies by the Financial Accountability Officer suggest that after 2 years, this is a loss for Ontario. We have a $700 million revenue source, and they're selling it just to cook their books for 2 years. And the first thing that Kathleen Wynne did with this Hydro One fire sale is she gave the new CEO a $4 million paycheck. The CEO of Hydro-Quebec gets $400,000.
Yes. In
what world does Kathleen Wynne think is appropriate to give a $4 million paycheck to the one in Ontario? And I guess the last thing I'd say on hydro is this plan that they were considering to ban natural gas and make everyone go to electricity is beyond short-sighted. 76% of the homes in Ontario are on natural gas. And so it will cause the average family, their hydro bill to go up $3,000. And now we've got the government saying maybe they won't do it right away. I don't want them to do it ever. It's the wrong policy. Families can't afford it. It will kill jobs. And Kathleen Wynne should completely walk away from that plan to get rid of natural gas.
Talking about the recent announcement made by the Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne about the CPP deal, she said that CPP deal means no need for Ontario retirement pension plan. But I think they actually kept a budget for that, which was around $14 million last year, and plus this year was $1.53 million, and it was one of their election promise.
Well, you know, Kathleen Wynne is clearly now supporting the position we've said all along. The PC said all along that any enhancement should be done through the CPP. Now she has to explain to Ontarians why she spent all this money on the ORPP, all these commercials she ran during the federal election, all these staff she hired. If she said that she was doing this and the CPP enhancement wasn't the way to go, now she's saying that it is the way to go. Because she's changed her mind so many times, we're all paying for it. And you know, I appreciate that she's now going to abandon that bad policy, that bad idea. But if she had to listen to us in the beginning, if she had to listen to Ontarians in the beginning, we wouldn't have wasted those millions and millions of dollars.
We also saw that there was a cabinet shuffle in Ontario government, and they said that the top priority of the government is to create good jobs and economic growth. What do you think about it?
I think the only good jobs they're trying to create is more chauffeur-driven limousines for Liberal cabinet ministers. This is now the largest cabinet in Canada. You know, Justin Trudeau's cabinet is 30 now because one of them resigned. The Ontario cabinet is 30. This is larger than any other provincial cabinet. Over half of Kathleen Wynne's caucus now has special positions, which means extra pay. This is like adding more weight to the Titanic. We don't need more titles. We don't need more chauffeur-driven ministers. I think we should have less ministers, not more. But you know, once again, with the Liberal Party, this is about them. It's not about us. It's not about Ontario.
We have actually seen you so much involved with different communities. We'll definitely talk about it, but after a short break. फिलहाल समा हो गया एक छोटी सी ब्रेक दा ब्रेक तो बाद जल्द हाजिर होंगे हैं. ब्रेक तो बाद ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ. As we were actually about to discuss your involvement with different communities, recently you actually got into a controversy regarding your view on the LGBT issue.
I know some people might have been upset with me because I was the first conservative leader to take a delegation in the Toronto Pride Parade, but I'm proud that I did. For me, being modern and inclusive doesn't mean just going to cultural functions. For me, it's this. No matter what the color of your skin, no matter what your religion, no matter where you're born, no matter how much money you make, no matter who you love, you have a home in our modern PC party. And so I proudly support gay rights. I proudly support marriage equality. Those issues are in the past, and I think we should celebrate modern Ontario, where every political party now supports marriage equality. I think that's a beautiful thing for Canada, a beautiful thing for Ontario.
Especially in Peel region, there is one issue going on, which is on Sikh helmet exemption. You brought that issue up in the Ontario Parliament, but I think it is actually still somewhere hanging around in the middle.
Yeah, so I brought it up. Kathleen Wynne, before the last election, promised the community that she would support a Sikh helmet exemption for those that want to wear their turban. It's the same exemption that is in British Columbia, in Manitoba, and the United Kingdom. And Wynne made a promise before the leadership, made a promise before the general election saying that she would do this. Now, 2 years later, she's changed her mind. And for me, it's this. You can't support freedom of religion just at election time, just during your leadership. If you really support freedom of religion, if Kathleen Wynne 2 years ago thought it was freedom of religion, why does she change her mind when she becomes to power? I think it's inherently wrong. I think she misled the community, and frankly, she's taken the Sikh community for granted. I have a lot of strong friendships. I've got a lot of history with the Sikh community in Ontario. I've spent a lot of time in Gujarat meeting with the elders, and one of the beautiful things about Canada is that we respect freedom of religion, and that's why I brought it up in the legislature. That's why I challenged Kathleen Wynne on her flip-flop.
I will talk to you about your relation with Sikh community, definitely. But before that, I have another issue to discuss, and that is the auto insurance rate in Brampton, which is extremely high. And it was supposed to go down by 15% as promised, but it didn't go.
It didn't go down. The Liberals are very good at making promises at election time they know they can't keep. And so they picked a number out of the sky and said insurance rates are going to go down 15%. They knew full well that that wasn't possible, that they weren't going to do that. I think it's disappointing because it's why people are skeptical about politicians, because when they make promises that you're not going to act upon, it leaves the appearance that you're very disingenuous. And so, the one thing that I think you could do on insurance rates that might help a little bit is that we need to reduce the red tape. When you want to bring a new product and it takes so long to get approval, if you want to bring a rate reduction, it's difficult to bring that change in. And I think if anything, we should just tear down some of that red tape and make it easier for competition.
There's actually so much issues going around. We say carbon pricing, taxes, Ontario's debt, natural gas pin. If you become leader, what changes you gonna bring?
Well, I get the overall theme with this. I'm going to make life more affordable in Ontario. And whether it is a payroll tax or whether it is, sending funds to California out of a cap and trade program like Kathleen Wynne wants to do, I'm going to focus on keeping investment in Ontario. I'm going to focus on making sure our prosperity is focused in Ontario. And I'm going to do that by cutting red tape, by investing in infrastructure so we can get cars moving on the road, getting product to marketplace. I'm going to make sure we don't sign surplus energy deals so we can have affordable energy prices. And I'm going to fix our education system so we graduate young people for the jobs that exist today, not the jobs that existed 20 years ago. I'm going to work day in and day out. And I never shy away from hard work. I will work 7 a.m. to midnight every single day to make sure that Ontario is the place you want to be. Ontario is the place you want to have a business and raise a family.
And I would actually like to add here that you recruited 40,000 members and you shocked everyone. I don't know how you did that.
Well, one of the beautiful things in the leadership campaign is that so many of the communities that I have strong relationships, like the Punjabi community, came and supported me in spades. And I can tell you that Right now, the Ontario PC Party has more Punjabi members than any political party in Ontario by a country mile.
Definitely. Apart from politics, you have so much good relations with Indo-Canadian community. You have been to India so many times. You have good relation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You have been to Gujarat so many times. He even gave you a name Patrick Bhai, which means Patrick brother. You celebrate all Indian festivals. You dressed up like an Indian. We don't think that you are actually a Canadian leader. It's like you are Indo-Canadian leader.
Well, certainly on the inside, I certainly feel that through osmosis that I feel very much part of the Indian community. I've been to India 15 times. I fell in love with the country. And I feel just as comfortable in Jalandhar, Chandigarh, Amritsar as I do in Barrie, Brampton, or Toronto. And I just think the sense of family, the sense of entrepreneurialism, the appreciation of hard work are values that I admire, and I see them in spades in the Indian Canadian diaspora. And a lot of times when a premier is running for office, they have to get introduced to the community for the first time. I think what I bring to the table, in 1 year and 11 months, if I have the honor to be our premier, is that no one's going to need to educate me on the community because I consider it my own community. And I joke to some friends that I'm running to be the first Chief Minister of Ontario.
Yes, there's actually so much to talk about you. There's so much to discuss with you, but due to the time, we have to end this discussion here. Do you want to give any message to our viewers that why they should choose Progressive Conservative Party?
Well, my message is if you want a fiscally responsible, transparent government that is honest, that will listen to you, that will put you first, not special interest, that you have a home in the Progressive Conservative Party. But don't simply vote for us, get involved. I want to see MPPs, I want to see riding presidents, I want to see the community play a huge and significant role in our party, and the door is wide open. You don't need to be an observer. Go to OntarioPC.com, go to forontario.ca and get involved. And I look forward to meeting everyone at party events.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was really a pleasure to interview you, and we would like to see you again in future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. ਸੋ ਐਸੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਖਾਸ ਪੇਸ਼ਕਸ਼। ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੀ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਪਸੰਦ ਆਈ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ। ਅਗਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ ਮੁੜ ਤੋਂ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੇਂ ਮਹਿਮਾਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਇੱਕ ਨਵੇਂ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਉਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ। ਧੰਨਵਾਦ।